we dealt with the impact of AI in women's lives. In this session, we are going to celebrate women. Women-led AI innovation is what our title is. First, let me start. This is all IBM reunion. No design, just happened. So we are missing Sharon, and thank you for Francis for stepping in. We have luminaries here, ladies and gentlemen. I can't even do justice to their introduction. Please look at the, open your brochure, and let me start with Anshu, and I just wanted to, she has had such a storied career journey from Hughes System to IBM to GE to Google, and now she's at a very interesting career move. So we will soon know, I guess, where your next thing is going to be. Anshu has won so many accolades and recognition. We'll be here for the entire hour reading to it, and we are blessed to have Sharon. Sharon is the thing that catches you.
No, Florence.
Florence, my bad, I'm sorry, Florence.
I was thinking, what happened here?
So this AI is not good. This is natural intelligence, no AI. So Florence, she is 5 times master inventor. Guys, that's a very unique recognition in IBM. It's not just because she's a prolific inventor, she's also that. Look at it, 200 plus US issued patents there, but it is also, master inventor is a very special designation because she also mentored many people in IBM to become inventors themselves. So it's very special to have Florence here. Francis needs no introduction. So with that, we'll get started. And so we are going to make it extremely concrete. When we talked before, what questions? So I'm going to just fire away, and they are ready to tell you. So, Anshu, AI, what do you see as the most exciting, one of the most exciting AI-led innovations that have come in the last few years?
Oh, a ton of them. Actually, I will talk more to the industry because I work a lot with clients. So at present, what is happening in the industry is with Gen AI especially, it has picked up so fast. Everybody is talking, and I sometimes tell them, even on the boards, I tell them, what is the question? Gen AI is the answer. So let me pick on some of the use cases from the industry itself. Let's take, there are 3 things what I see from day to day talking to the customers. One is everybody wants to increase efficiency. Let's face it. It's all about how can we increase efficiency, how can we increase revenue. The other is customer-oriented world, customer service. How can we give a better customer service? And the third is decision making. I want to make decisions fast. How can the data and how can AI and Gen AI help me to do that? So in that, let's take on the industry, which I work a lot with, financial services, and we are in the center of New York here. So customer service, they are working a lot on how Gen AI can give the virtual chatbots a new world, right? You name it, Deutsche Bank, Morgan Stanley, all of them are. And these 2 are really leading the charter in that how we can have an intelligent customer service bots. Then let's take in the banking only risk management, right? Risk. Every time there is something happening in the banks and the financial institutions, be it capital markets, be it banking, be it payments. So how can we take that data and sniff that data and find out what are the propensity and risk anomalies and how we can take care of them much ahead in time. The compliance, regulatory and compliance. These are the kind of use cases really I'm talking to the clients about. Marketing. Marketing has changed totally with Gen AI. It had changed with AI also. Now with Gen AI, it has totally changed. In fact, I was working with a client, and it's very interesting that what they wanted to make a kind of bot where we are kind of a, not a bot, but a program where we have the LLM models and they put all their data in it. And then I say, you know what, can you give me the interior design for my bedroom? And I'm telling you, chuck, tuck, 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 within literally seconds, you have an amazing bedroom. I did it for my home then. I was like, this is amazing. I don't have to pay those hundreds and thousands of dollars to an interior designer. Why do I need that? So how this whole thing is coming into our day-to-day lives, right? So marketing, as far as even in the financial services, the marketing aspect. Another customer I'm working with is education. You know, I always used to think that, why do we give? This is really about 20 years back. I started thinking, why do we give the same education to everybody? Because everybody has a different level of where they can get the best from the education. And Coursera, which I'll talk about later about the owner of Coursera. Coursera has started it. Khan Academy is going through the roof with how you can give specialized education at the level of what you want, rather than you go to a class, some people are getting it and some people are getting bored, right? So these are, I can go on and on, but these are some of the areas. And obviously your favorite, the healthcare industry is blooming with drug discovery, with genomics and all that stuff. It's just, I feel that within some time, this will be not that, oh my God, AI, it will be just like internet. It's a revolution that is coming, really, that everywhere it will be inbuilt in each and everything, but we will be using it, and we have to be smart enough how to use it and how to get ourselves talented in order to make the best of it. So that would be, I know a long answer for it. I can go on with my use cases.
You laid it out beautifully. So front office, client experience, managed by Gen AI made bots. And then you also talked about back office
decision making,
support,
yeah.
The risk compliance. So now I would like to pose the same question to Florence.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of generative AI, that's the buzzword that everybody has been talking about. In addition to the use cases that Anshu talked about, I also want to mention that, for example, the utility and the energy industries, right? Sometimes we may experience like snowstorm in the northeast region during the winter, and then those utility company, they raise the price for utility bill, and then you just get a big discussion at the state level, and they got criticized. However, by leveraging the data that we can collect, and by analyzing the data pattern and the climate change, we'll be able to actually predict the price for those energy utility companies. This way, they don't get very angry customers. That's one use case. And then further on, as Anshu mentioned, in the financial industry, these days, when we need to actually do the funding transaction for our accounts, we can just log online and we can transfer our fund very easily. In the past, we may have to go to a branch office and talk to the teller that way. However, sometimes people may be a little bit afraid, oh, will AI take over my job? But actually, AI is really here to help us, because we are the humans, we are the AI creators, and we should really take on more critical tasks and let the AI help us to handle all those very repetitive tasks. And some other use cases in the financial industry is if we integrate the IoT devices and in the ATMs, we'll be able to keep track of when those ATM machines will need to be maintained. And we also can install the cameras, which they already do for those branch offices. Then we can monitor the traffic to see when the customers usually come in during the weekdays or during the week, and also during the weekends. So we can put in the necessary staff to make sure that the customers will get the service that they need on time. Talking about the entertainment industry, these days generative AI can actually create very high value contents, and this way the entertainment industry company will be able to deliver quality content to their end users in a timely manner. And also, let's think about people from other culture, people speak different languages. The AI can actually translate those content into other languages by integrating the culture by respecting the culture, aspect, as you can see, AI is really here to help industry to grow, to expand the market share. And so let's all study AI and grow the market share and help mankind.
Good, Florence. So now we learned about augmented AI. That's what Florence was going after. So Francis, I know you have so many new use cases in your area, so can't wait to hear.
I love that Florence talked about AI for humanity. So when I, like I said, 37 years in IBM, first 25 years, sales and marketing, financial services, customer, manufacturing, knew nothing about really humanity. It was really quota-driven, profit-making for IBM. But then when I took over the Accessibility Center in IBM Research, for those of you who don't know, accessibility, the concept of accessibility in the technology world means that we have to make sure that we do not create barrier, a digital barrier or technology barrier for people with disabilities or people who are aging. And that became an eye-opening experience for me personally, and that's why I ended up retiring on that job and then continue with my own company. But right now, I'm going to speak the use case as Sharon. So I'm this pretty lady now. So personal AI is one of those technology that actually came out of the respect for that. Like I said, the data is the new natural resource, new oil, or whatever, new water, and whatever. But the question is, how can we, as a personal, who owns all the data, if I choose to monetize it, right? Instead of having the platform companies, whether it is Meta, Google, or whoever, or new emerging platform company, use my data to make money. So and monetizing doesn't necessarily mean financial. It could be just, legacy data. So personal AI CEO came to me and talked to me about how he's trying to create this thing of creating all the information about the individual. The first use cases, our last panel, we talked about how our lives, or as a woman, Asian woman especially, in fact, I remember as he was talking, the personal AI scenario that popped to my head was, I want to create information about me so I can pass on to my grandchildren, because I just got my first granddaughter. And my husband is Caucasian, so my sons are halfy. And then one married a Chinese, so I gained some gene pool back, 3/4 Chinese. But the other married a Caucasian doctor in AI, and the gene pool became 1/4. So, and I kept thinking, how can I pass on my heritage, my belief, my tradition, my, cooking a lion's head, meatball, Chinese New Year. So I thought, a personal AI will afford me that opportunity. Very interesting. That including both verbal, meaning speech to text, and of course later on video. So personal AI now, if you, like I said, you can log on to their website and converse with me, or you can create your own. But the whole idea is that how you can use your own information, expert knowledge. It could be personal, like I said, my legacy, my personal legacy, or my information, and also professional. So now, for example, they have use cases with lawyers, especially immigration lawyers. Because there are people, many of us went through the green card process. You always have questions for lawyers. I don't know about you, even though I'm a US citizen, when I read Chinese newspaper, I always go to the Ask Lawyer section, trying to figure out what the HB1 visa status is. Think about lawyers. You can use a digital AI as your extension instead of answering the same question over and again. That's a great use case. Professors. Actually, there is professors in universities creating their own AI, like, Psychology 101. So there is many different opportunities for AI, not just a corporate setting. Certainly the first use cases are our corporate setting, but their personal setting are beginning to emerge.
So it's your digital twin.
It's my digital twin with knowledge of me. That I
control how much the digital twin will replicate
Yes,
yourself.
right. You can even ask questions. Yeah, exactly. So you can ask questions. If you
That's
got the QR code and load it up, you can, for example, load up my book, and every time when I put a post out, I can just feed it. So it's learning more and more about who I am. So the information will be passed on to the individual as my digital twin.
Awesome. Cloning is far away, so I can see now Frances going and giving her digital twin giving a presentation in China when she is here with us. It's possible.
Yeah, with a hologram probably.
Yeah.
It's and that's the kind of world we're going to, right? We can be at multiple places, but the key is accuracy, right? It's the trust that you have to make sure that if I'm not here, it's just my hologram. That information is still my information versus somebody else had just programmed my digital AI.
I want to put that's a very good concept. This was 4 years back. I can never get this out of my mind. So in Javits Center, there was an AI conference, big AI conference. Usually every year it happens, and I was speaking there. And when it was opening, there is this lady, a very well-dressed lady, standing and talking and welcoming everybody. I said, "Oh, that's very nice." Really, I didn't know that this was a twin, a digital, an AI robot which was talking to us. And then when it said, when it ended, she said, "Okay, now I have to leave and your conference will start. But guys, I can do everything, but I need help in getting down the stairs." And that time it struck me, no, this was a robot that was talking to us. It was really real. It was like, wow. Just on the digital twin, I wanted to mention.
The previous panel talked about the last mile, right? We talked about disembodied AI, and people talked about embodied AI, and that is where some of the work we are discussing. So that is very fascinating. All of you highlighted things that are out there we need to be. So we are also about women-led AI innovation. So I put them on the spot, and I said we have to elevate the women whom they are fascinated by. So Florence, take it away. Whose work are you following and you're inspired by?
Sure. There's so many pioneers in the AI space, but in terms of the female role model I really look up to in this AI space is Fei Li. And she's the professor from Stanford University. And she immigrated to the United States at age 16. And at that time, she did not speak too much English. She got lots of help from her high school teachers, and she got accepted into Princeton University. During the very busy undergrad study, she still managed to go home on weekends to help her parents to work in a dry cleaning store. That was very impressive. And today, she is the leader in the AI space. And she did her PhD study at Caltech. And she really advocates for human-centered AI development. As you can see, women has lots of skills in empathy. And when we develop AI solutions, we always want to keep humans in the center. For example, in one of her major projects, ImageNet, she collected 14 million sets of image data, annotated data. And she can utilize that as a base to develop healthcare solutions. For example, for one of her projects, she was able to detect, for example, in the ICU, sometimes the doctors did not really follow the process. They did not necessarily follow the protocol to wash their hands before they actually went to visit the patients. And then in terms of the long-term care, when senior citizens need to live independently in their own home, we definitely want to make sure they're very safe by using the image recognition to develop solutions to prevent the seniors from falling when they live independently. That's another solution. And Fei Li just recently released another TED Talk. If you're more interested in her research project, I really suggest that you take a look at her TED Talk on YouTube. That was really impressive. So Fei Li is the role model that I look up to in the AI space.
Awesome.
I was going to say the same. Yeah, I think the thing about Fei Li that's very interesting and very inspiring, like Florence said, that she really put the human, what I call the human first. As it turned out, as you know, Florence, the human first is a term I use all the time, and it's part of my book, A Construct, was on this human first thinking. And when I exited IBM again 2016, this whole idea about holistic human view, combining a human and technology intersection, is so strong in my own head. And remember that 2016, 17, that was the time when the Google walkout of the women in tech, diversity was not enough and all that. So there was a big hoopla. All of a sudden, you got a lot of consultants coming in to advise, a technology company to hire women and all that. But I felt like we went from, it's almost like a wedding, right? I mean, we used to be, you just go get wedding. Well, Indian wedding is a little extravagant.
Too much.
But I remember when I got married, it was basically you just go to the city hall, got a paper, and then you're done, and they're all because this huge wedding industry, but the divorce rate is still high. So I felt like the DEI, the consequently following, everything was hyper dry, but the essence is missing. Mm-hmm. So that's why I wrote the book, Authentic Inclusion, and I trademarked the word Authentic Inclusion because the shorthand for authentic inclusion is AI. Because I felt that technology has to think about authentic inclusion. Mm-hmm. And going back to Fei Li, she not just she not doesn't talk about, she can back it up with her own research and action. And we hope one of these days we'll have Fei Li either as a speaker or something to our event. But I think that kind of understanding the impact of humanity and this very powerful technology of AI is actually a lot of that kind of raise the visibility is going to come from us, come from women specifically, because the harm, for example, we see that, for example, cyberbullying, to the kids. Mm-hmm. We actually are we're in the front row seat to see the societal impact of a bad usage of a tool. So we have to be very, very vocal and about this.
Anshu?
Yeah, I have a question for everybody. Who knows Mira Murati? Who knows Sam Altman?
Of course.
Yeah.
And who is the brain behind all this ChatGPT? Is a woman, is Mira Murati. So this is what kind of bothers me. Everybody talks about Sam Altman, but nobody is talking about Mira Murati. And Mira Murati is a young, to be honest with you, she's 15 years younger than me. So young woman who is from Albania, came here, again 16, was in Dartmouth, and then went to Tesla, worked at Tesla. And then in 2016 came to OpenAI and is the CTO for OpenAI. She has done so much innovation and so much inventions with, whether it is ChatGPT, whether it is DALL-E, whether it is all the ChatGPT 4 and 4.5. She has a lot of work that she has done there. She has a lot about ethical AI. And this, I think we have to kind of, the press is too much towards the men, right? I never hear about all the accolades to the women who are doing a lot more than her. I can really rattle down names. Let's take Daphne Kohler. Who knows Daphne Kohler, right? Again, Daphne, who is the co-founder of Coursera, and she is again a very astute Stanford professor, an Israeli-American woman, and is the co-founder of Coursera. Andrew, everybody knows Andrew, nobody knows Daphne. And now she then left, she went to Calico, and now she has again started her own company, Instrio, where it is all about drug discovery. Whenever I think about AI and this, I think about Chitra. And there are so many, in Google itself, there are so many women who have been spearheading the AI and Gen AI work, but nobody even talks about them other than it's all about men. So we have to, I think, as women, promote each other to get that into the eyes of even the other organizations and boards and everything.
Thank you, Anshu. This goes back to my question the status quo. So we've been reading, every time you read an article in New York Times or any, it's always highlighting the male leaders. So it's my side passion to start writing down all the names of people, women leaders I have had their encounters. Daphne and I were actually summer interns at IBM in Almaden, believe it or not, so long ago. So it's very important, I think, for all of us to acknowledge and celebrate the successes, and we start talking about them, even though other press may not be. And I think we'll create a groundswell of celebrating women leaders. So thank you, amazing, nice to hear about that. So now we are going to shift gears. So we heard about some of the impactful innovations from women-led companies and who are the women leaders. We want to dive right into AI risks, ethics, and values. They are very different. And we had some questions in the previous panel. They set us up nicely. So we are going to delve more into it. So who wants to go? Francis, you want to go? Yeah. So,
By the way,
this is a very specific question.
okay, very specific.
Drawing from the initiatives you have led, Sharon has led or you have led, please share your experience of what specific ethical questions and potential risks you needed to consider in the practice of designing or building AI.
Somebody should tackle it.
Go for it. You want to jump in, Anshu or Florence? Yeah. You go.
Sure. So in terms of the risk and the considerations that we need to put in place for AI development, as the previous panelists mentioned, bias is definitely one key factor that we need to pay attention to. When we collect the data, especially the historic data, we want to make sure the data we collect are not biased. Because if we send in biased data into the model training and model development, the results we generate will be biased, and that will not get us the result that we're looking for. And also, using some day-to-day examples, right? When we develop healthcare solutions, we need to look at the demographic of the patients that we select to train our AI models. And just for example, the diabetes treatment, right? Are we considering both male, female, and all different demographic, when we train the AI models? And how about the job professions and tobacco use and alcohol use? And all of these factors will not only talk about genetic, but there's so many different factors that we need to consider. And talking about other clinical design, right? When we actually select the patients that we want to get enrolled in those clinical designs, have we considered different type of patients? Have we considered what they have experienced in the past? When we actually develop AI-based solutions, and if they need to interact with speech recognition type of virtual assistant, what type of voice actually we need to train for this kind of virtual assistant? And all this information is very important. Another factor we need to consider is transparency as well as accountability. And these days, AI, generative AI, everything seems to just happen in a very giant magic black box. We actually need to let people know where did we collect the data, how the data is actually cleaned, and how the model is trained. What type of use case is each type of AI model is really useful. So once again, I want to emphasize, we need to pay attention to bias. We need to actually have a clear transparency, and also the enterprise that who develop those AI solutions, they really need to be responsible as well.
Very good. I don't know whether you have read this. There was an MIT grad student who is an Asian. When she asked the AI to generate an image of herself more professional, guess what the AI did? It made her blue-eyed and blonde. So you can therefore naturally, that's what Florence is alluding to. Given the kind of data these large language models are using and the image creation models are using, there is therefore all of these models are not bias-free. And IBM actually is doing amazing work in something called AI 360. Do you want to mention, Florence, so that people can be aware of some of the code that they can actually use to reduce the bias?
Yeah, I think that's one of the aspects from the overall AI alliance that IBM has launched. So IBM collaborates with some other large organizations to create this AI alliance. And the key focus for this is actually to put the governance board in place. So we will encourage this openness for both innovation as well as research and science. That's what we do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will add on to Florence's comment. So I work a lot, as I said, with clients. So I give real life examples. So we were doing credit scoring for one of the mortgage, for one of the banks, as far as mortgage, mortgage was the application. And once we wrote the personalized LLM and all that stuff, it was very interesting. The woman got mortgages at a higher rate, and that too, Black American woman got mortgages at a higher rate than the others. It's very interesting, and we were like shocked. Why is this happening like that? So again, to latch on to what Florence was saying about data. We don't have data, guys. Let's face this. We don't have a clean, non-biased data. That's the biggest problem at present in the industry. That is why all these hallucinations are coming. There's a lot of hallucinations coming, even if they are developing now. All the companies, when I'm working with it, you can use all the Gemini, ChatGPT, but they're developing their own private LLMs. And there is where they are taking their data and putting the data so that they get the right answer for the questions. The other aspect, which is very, very important, is security. Because what is happening is whatever you are giving to, whatever data you are giving in, that's all over, everybody knows about it. So whenever I'm talking about the AI and Gen AI solutions, two things that is coming up is bias, so that we lead these models which are non-biased, security, again, very, very important, that how are we doing secure AI, that is another, and transparency. If we can solve this stuff, I personally feel we are still in infancy here, and we have a long way to go, but it will be magic. I am fully.
I just want to make the security point extremely accessible. The authors are now suing OpenAI because many of the writings they have done are directly coming out as an AI generated responses. So it's not statistically random words, so it is really regurgitating. So you can imagine, therefore, if you have been active on Reddit and you have been an active poster, OpenAI is probably you're going to see your own answer coming to it. So that is the very nuanced point Anshu is making, the security of the personal information. I think even in the previous panel, this came up. So Francis, what is worrying you? What keeps you up night after this
Okay,
AI?
sure. So going back to, actually, you mentioned that this question is under the context of ethics. And ethical leadership in this time, it's probably more important than ever. And like I mentioned, my background is more on the business side. And I've always had this issue with, for example, the business schools, training a next generation of business leaders and not really either understand or incorporate, ethical, thinking and leadership in their decision making. And so to the extent that actually next month at MIT Sloan Management School, so I've been working with Sloan Management School and IESC, which is the top Spanish MBA program. They have a New York City office. There is a bunch of professors from Dartmouth and Sloan that we've been talking about this for the past maybe 3-4 years. And we're going to have a session at Sloan July 15th, 16th to raise the topic of ethical leadership and what does that mean to the next generation of leaders. In this case, it's business leaders. And let's face it, business leaders in most cases make the strategic decisions of investment, of technology, or lines of business, or whatever. So if we cannot shape their thinking, understanding ethics now and here and now, we can have the cleanest data, it could still be misdirected. So that's one point I want to mention. And the second thing is, you all are, data experts. I'm not a data, like I said, I don't have that kind of a clinical training on that. But I do know that the data is so important, and the data strategy is very important. One of the things, going back to business, if you think about the reason why a lot of the business don't think about ethics, because right now, the standard measurement of success in the business world, for example, is just on profit, and on profit only. And I talked about a lot, when I give speeches and in my book, is that we have to align profit with what I call principle and purpose. Okay, so then you say, okay, that sounds great. It's an aspirational goal. How do you translate that into action? So in the human rights for older adults discussion, I kind of put out this idea is that we need to change, for example, the measurement or the standard of the businesses to go from only ROI, for example, return on investment or profit driven, to a new standard. How many of you know that there is a happiness index?
Yeah.
So World Health Organization, if you're interested, they measure the happiness of citizens. So Bhutan, as a country, routinely comes out to be number one. Now, why is that? Because the government actually measured the totality of the citizens' happiness, for example, education, transportation, a technology certainly is part of it, but it's a holistic way of measuring it. And I, for one, feel like we are at such a, we talked about intersection with technology and humanities, that we need to potentially completely throw out the old measurement, because you get what you measure, right? So if we don't change the measure, we can have clean data, a trustworthy, process. If the decision maker at the very top of the businesses don't align with this kind of a new thinking and actually willing to incorporate new standards and new data sets, such as the holistic, the happiness data sets, then we potentially risk still, going down. We might change the new bottle, but it's still going to be the old wine. As you can tell that I'm ready for lunch or dinner.
Just like climate change, we have ESG. So we should be now, you're saying, a metric related to responsible AI, the use of responsible AI, responsible AI leadership, and then at a company level.
Right.
And we shouldn't be investing in a company which is failing that.
Right.
Actually, that is coming a lot with the whole initiative about sovereign AI, which a lot of countries have come together and talking about how the sovereign AI will work.
We want to leave some time for our audience. I'm sure they're ready to. So this is a quick round. AI and humanity. So I'm giving you, so how is AI changing our lives? If it hasn't already, how will it look and change our lives? What would be a commandment that you'd like AI to follow? AI for all. What does it mean to include someone who doesn't look like us? And what is responsible AI? So pick your question. So it's all about the future.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. I think one is, which we have been talking about, humanity. Like AI has to work for humanity and not for just for the heck of it. And the other thing which keeps me actually awake at night is sustainability. There is so much of, I have some data here, that's why I took, that GPT 3.0 in one app, and this is a McKinsey data, guys, took 1.287 gigawatts per hour of electricity. And that would actually, which is equal to 120 average households a year. How are we going to get that whole energy? What are we doing it to the world? And what will happen is, and this is Anshu, and maybe I'm totally wrong, the rich countries will have that, and the poor countries are going to suffer. And it's going to make more and more of disparity in the world, and I'm not for that.
So talking about AI for all, Fei Li is actually one of the co-founders for that non-profit organization called AI for All. So this is an organization that really encourages next generation, especially the girls, who really should participate in the STEM field. And talking about the STEM field these days, the word has transformed a little bit. Sometimes people also refer to that stream, meaning that we also need to integrate art into the STEM. I think that the art really actually contribute to the STEM field as well. Together, it really creates the ecosystem. I remember that several years ago when Boston University collaborated with IBM for one of their summer programs, for their AI for All summer program. So there was a group of students came to visit IBM facility, and I was as one of the mentors who talked to the student about our day-to-day work, how actually can we really get involved into those new technology development. There was this one girl sitting next to me, and all of a sudden that she started to cry, and she just could not control herself. And I said, do you need to take a break? Maybe we can talk together in the hallway. And she's an Asian student. And she told me that her mom really wanted her to study computer science. I think maybe some people in the audience can also correlate that, right? And she really wanted to study art. And I talked to her, I said, art and STEM actually really complement each other. And you can definitely utilize your art skills in those software product development. And we always need product designers. And by getting into the technology field as a product designer, and you can also help the humanity, and you can design and develop very usable and accessible products. And talking about accessibility, many years ago, I was actually the accessibility architect for one of the IBM enterprise social platform. And through that job role, I learned so much about inclusive design. And I always look up to Francis as my role model in this space as well. This morning, when I walked into this conference room, the first thing I noticed is that the design of this platform, because it does consider the accessibility design, for everybody. Mm-hmm. And I travel a lot, for vacation, for my work. For every single airport I go to, I always check on to make sure that, it's accessible for people who have special needs. And at IBM, we also have this, bring your daughter and son to work day. And many years ago, when my daughter was very young, I brought her, to this event. And when the host asked the students, said, what do you want to do when you grow up? And she raised both of her hands. She said, I want to get 2 degrees, 1 engineering degree and 1 medical degree. And the host asked her, why do you want to study 2 degrees? She said, I want to grow up to be an engineer who can actually design the robotic devices for people who have special needs. So as you can see, that through this type of event, through this type of conferences, we can actually make impacts for the next generation and help them understand, it is important to learn technology, and there's no finish line. I mean, every day we're still learning, right? And by using the online platforms, and we can actually take classes at home. So we want to make this kind of impact for our next generation recognize that technology can help the mankind to evolve.
Francis, you have the last word. What is
I was listening, my son, when he went to IBM opening day, came home, and then people asked him, what do you want to be? And then he said, I want to be a business IBMer. And then they said, why? But he didn't give any of these answers. He said, I like the vending machine.
I love that.
Anyway, that's a difference of a half Chinese. I think, we are entering a world, what I always say, this is like a bell curve, right? Mm-hmm. And all the things that the bell curve in the middle can be codified, whether it's profession, it's work, and same kind of a thing that if we think about AI, we think about user, we have to think about edge users, what I call edge users, non-standard users. And when I started this journey of accessibility, I was young, vibrant. I didn't have any vision problem or hearing problem. But now, as I getting into my, I'm not going to say, but believe me, I appreciate firsthand, vision impairment, hearing impairment, mobility impairment, and all that. And as I work with these seniors, I think it gives me, when you work with a senior, when you get a certain age, you start looking the life from the end, back, I think the ultimate challenge, and hopefully it's also inspiration for the next generation, is that when we say AI for all, is that can it be truly inclusive of all the people, including people with special needs, and most importantly, including elders, right? Especially a society like the United States. Here we have a lot of actually Asian, because we're Asian, we have a family value that put the elders up on the, top, certainly better than than other countries. I think as we think about how AI, I'm just going to end with the last use case, and there is a company called Rendeavor. They use 3D, 3D visualization is being used in medical operations and all that. But in this case, they introduced it to senior care centers, and they program it so that the older person can travel back to their hometown, to their villages. And the impact, it was so profound, because a lot of them cannot get on the plane, cannot go to, Suzhou or New Delhi anymore, right? But through that AI experiential, they're there, they're back there, or with the music, think about that kind of a qualitative improvement, a technology like AI combined with the VR, XR, can do. So.
Very good. Yes, augmented reality.
Augmented reality. That's fun.
The W3C has a recent work group where I now see cognitive disability
Yeah.
is one of the
Yeah.
acknowledged, recognized
Yeah.
disabilities.
And also senior, right?
Yeah.
Older adults,
Which
yeah.
is very good. So we are open for questions. I know we've left some time, but yeah, lots of hands up. So grab a mic, and are you going to moderate today? Who goes first? Yeah.
I don't need a mic.
Yeah. Okay, go for it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm Kumar from DevG Inc., AI company. There are two sides of it, right? One is the creation of AI solution and the smart consumption of AI solutions. I agree that AI should be available for everyone to consume. Isn't it time to kind of regulate or license creation of AI solutions so it cannot be weaponized? It's very powerful, right? Extremely powerful tool. So what's your thought on that?
I can start with, there's a lot of work going on in the background where the companies like IBM, Google, and all, they have created consortium, and with the sovereign AI, where all the countries are coming together, that how can you use AI and what is the right use of AI? Because it's still on the table, but there is a lot of work in the background for answering your questions about what are the standards, what are the specifications of the offerings that the companies will invent or generate or whatever. What will be that standard that they have to adhere to in order to be the AI specific companies? There is a lot of work going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, if you look up, I think it's at the WEF, Davos.
Yeah, Davos had
right,
also.
IBM and along with a whole bunch of big tech company come together and really for the first time talked about what kind of a standard they need to have. And on the citizen side, advocacy side, AI Now Institute is another institute that's founded by, used to be associated with the NYU and now is part of the, it's sponsored by Ford Foundation. They have a lot of policy recommendation. I think it's actually a great question. I think this is, AI is so new. We're at the beginning. We're in the first inning of this technology. So everybody should get involved. And also policy needs to be really co-created with industry, because in this case, technology industry is going to be moving so fast, and we need to have smart government policies to not to constrain it, but create a equal, guardrail. Exactly.
AI Act is passed. What the companies are saying is almost 1 in 2 companies, they are not yet ready to completely, fully implement and be compliant with it, so they are negotiating for time. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody in the back will will alternate. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm August. Right now, the reason I came here today because I really want to be the last few people to be replaced by AI.
That's a very good question. Very good question.
Before, I am keeping asking myself because several years ago I was doing volunteer in the underdeveloping countries. I saw those kids. They are not the person who don't want to learn. They don't have opportunities. Their parents think they should not to learn. They have lots of problems or inequalities. So how can we make sure the people today who are using AI, not the people who are using like internet? So how can we make sure more people who need those services actually they get benefits?
Yeah, so you want to start or?
Go ahead. Sorry.
The thing is, I feel that we shouldn't separate AI with internet or something. It's all together. The delivery mechanism is internet for an education, right? But at the same time, the beauty of all this is that anybody can get access anywhere. So the great you're working, I have worked in Pemba in Tanzania area, and I do a lot of work in India. The accessibility to the internet is becoming very fast, right? And now the question which is on the table, are we taking care of the requirements of those students, right, in those areas? Or are we making education for the United States of America and the Europe of the world? I think that is the question which is on the table that we need to address. And I think there's a lot of work going on I know with Khan Academy about it, because I read a lot about them, that how they are taking the education and all. But it can be done more, because you're absolutely right. Like the things how kids think in Tanzania or in the villages of India is different than the requirements of what the kids have in the developed countries. Yeah, I will continue, please.
I think that's why we keep, that's why UN have the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goal. It is time that we first raise the awareness. I think AI actually had done us a favor, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it raised everybody's, whoa, there could be a divide, and now now that you know there is a potential. I mean, not a potential. It is a problem, and humans are still very creative, right? So hopefully with this awareness that we can begin to change it. And then the institutional, like the policy consortium that Anshu mentioned, that kind of trigger into the government decision-making process. I mean, some of this actually is top-down, right? The country has to, for example, care about technology impact on education, on transport, whatever. But I think our part is that what AI enables is that the barrier of entry actually is very, very low.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost too low. Like you said, it's not sustainable. Not like in the old days. When I started, if you don't have a computer science degree, it's almost impossible to get into technology business.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I'm an exception, just so you know. So.
I'm just going to offer
a
different viewpoint. I relate with you. I'll tell you why. Digital divide is one of affordability. That means you do not have the infrastructure and the bandwidth and the cost to maintain it. Whereas AI divide is something else altogether, which is one goes to the core of human, feeling human. Some of the users I work with, people living with dementia, they are very clear. I do design thinking workshop in order to make sure the app I am developing is acceptable to them. One thing is always leave the agency with us. We have to make the decision always whether we want to send this, because I'm giving them some Gen AI which can actually do things on their behalf, but always they will not approve of anything where the AI automatically sends. The final clearance, and that goes to the heart of, AI overriding the humanness. So I relate to you, and I do worry about the AI divide. We may solve eventually the digital divide, but AI divide is one of worry and hesitation and fear. How do you handle that?
No, that's a good one.
Different one, yeah.
There was at the
Okay,
back
guys,
also.
to make sure you guys have enough time for ruffle and lunch, this will be the last question for this panel. Thank you.
Speaking of the AI, my name is Chi Blake, and I'm a consultant currently, but for a long time I worked at American Express.
Oh,
and
my
yeah.
favorite client.
Yes, and they did teach me to be a responsible citizen. Now, speaking about this AI divide and your concerns, and some of the talks that you gave originally about how to develop sort of the future leaders, right, to be more responsible. But we're really in a digital age where we really have to raise global citizens, right? That are the future leaders, that are responsible. And as we're sort of creating these AI, how do you guys think we could sort of engender that almost the EQ, right? And I think like in HR about 20 years ago, they started talking about EQ, right? It's not only about IQ, it's about the emotional intelligence. And we're really talking about machine learning and things that we're programming to be intelligent. So how do we go about sort of teaching that next generation? Because I really think about AI as raising a child, right? So if we're raising responsible children and responsible leaders, how do we go about doing this for our digital children?
I can try to take it. I think, again, the AI today, we're talking about language model, right? I mean, it's started out with text. Now some images coming in, right? Videos beginning to come in. I know of a company called Sentient Science. They are observing, they've done decades of study of a facial recognition of a bias. So sometimes you can say something, but you don't really mean it, right? So because we're still human. When we're happy, we smile. When we're sad, we cry. But there are nuances of a facial expression. I think this is a part of the next generation of AI is that, instead of just programming to say, learning from the past experience, is to be able to incorporate some of the real-time knowledge about the presence of feelings, right? To gauge really, for example, you like the answer or you don't like the answer, or this is like, shocking. So I think there's a complexity that technology could help, but only if we are intentional about it. If we are not, then you're right. We're going to program a linear kind of. I always think, people say you cannot make decisions because data is the king. But I always felt like, but data is always the past. We're in a world of the future. There's situation maybe the data doesn't tell you anything, right? So we still have power, but we have to remember that. And that's actually the last point I want to make is that AI is so powerful, but we are even more powerful.
Yeah.
But if we don't choose to use it, or we actually surrender our power, this goes back to the next session. John and I talked about some leadership thinking. It's thinking. You talk about go out, take risk, be the one that's actually different, and that is so important in this particular time.
And also to your point, I personally feel sometimes we think about, oh my God, my job will be replaced. Not really. AI is at present, you augmentation to your job. So you have to start thinking smartly that how AI can augment your job and how you can be smarter, right? And it's a while when that we are still in narrow AI, when that AI world will come that, okay, we won't need humans. But I think we have to start thinking smartly that how AI is going to augment my job and how I'm going to produce for the companies or whichever company we work for a better output.
Very good. So that's a wrap. We are between you and the food.
Oh, that's the
Yes.
tough contribution.
Thank you so much. So wonderful.